before we get into the final segment, I have introduced this new segment to the second season of the podcast, and I call it Know Your Host, where I give my guests an opportunity to ask me any question they might have. Doing?
Yeah, I'm curious now to know your experience with immigration and how you come in the Canada and what bring you here and what your story. What is your story?
Wow, that might take another episode,
That is briefly,
but I'll
okay.
tell
The
you.
main
I'll
point. Yeah.
no, I'll tell you very briefly, of course. So I came to Canada in 2018 as a national student. I came to study this amazing program called Media Strategies and Advertising. And that was like a 1 year program I came to do. And one of the question you might be thinking that why Canada? Sometimes I think about it, even I don't know. Again, I think I was just destined to come here. And but I think if I really think about that, I think it was because there's a lot of familiarity being an Indian in Canada, and you do have certain relatives and certain friends and family to look up to in case of any um, downfalls that you might have throughout your journey. So that I think that's what made my parents a little more comfortable to send me to Canada rather than any other country. So I would say that's why it was Canada. But once I finished my program, I was also just like many of our listeners, international students or immigrants. I was struggling to find a job. I also tried everywhere. I tried, gave multiple interviews. It took me, I think, 2 years to finally get the job which I'm doing right now because pandemic was also the added pressure. And since I studied for just 1 year, I got my postgraduate work permit for just 1 year, and because of that I had very less time to figure my things out, getting the maximum points that's possible for my PR, the best permanent residency. And I think for that I even had to go to a different province because in Quebec I could not get a job being just an anglophone. I had to be bilingual and I wasn't. So I ended up going to Halifax, Nova Scotia for some time. I stayed there and I tried to just navigate the life here because I was all just like you said, moving to Vancouver was like a second immigration. It was for me as well. I was just starting from scratch again with no friends, no acquaintances, nobody. I didn't know anybody at all, and that's how I think I somehow find the jobs and the new policies came in. Life did work out somehow or the other. Things just work out, and I think I was very positive throughout. Not always. I have had my downfalls as well. I've questioned myself. I have questioned my skills and my abilities. I have also fallen into that imposter syndrome pit, which is took me some time to get out of it. But I think LinkedIn community was really helpful for me. I took on this like a 30-day challenge to post at least like a 30-second video for 30 days, and that gave me a lot of traction, and that helped me connected with a lot of people, and that gave me the courage, and I'm not alone in this journey. There are a lot of people who are kind of going through the same struggles as an immigrant, which how uh, the same way I am going through it. And yeah, I think that's how further things work out eventually after a couple of years. And I got my permanent residency, and I was like, I think it's time for me to lend a helping hand to the people who are sort of in the same boat as I was. And I'm sure those guys, I needed help at that time, and I'm sure there are many more current immigrants or aspiring immigrants who would need that help as well. So I was like, I think it's time, and I think podcasting I felt like would be the right medium for me because it required less resources than a YouTube channel, and that's why I took on this journey to also break those stereotypical modes that we immigrants are asked to fit in, which made me actually question myself, and I don't want other people to fall under the same trap of questioning themselves. That's why I was like, fine, this podcast is a medium, will be a go-to resource for anybody who's trying to navigate a life as an immigrant here. And that's why I bring on people just like yourself to unfold their personal journeys of struggle, resilience, and the whole process of finding home away from home. So yeah, that's
I
been my
actually
journey.
want to congratulate you and I admire you for the willing to help others and to show them what it's possible for them because not many people are going to do that. And that's really demand a lot of courage and also strength to be able, when you struggle, to help others who struggle too.
Yeah,
That's I admire you
absolutely.
for and congratulations for what you're doing.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking this question as well. And thank you for your kind words. I never knew I could summarize my 5 years in such a small, in just like few minutes. I don't know how did I do that, but I think I did a good job. It was all
Yeah,
right.
you did
But
great
but
job.
I'm sure there are a lot of details that I would love to share, maybe in the eventually in the upcoming episodes. But yeah, thank you for that question. Thanks a lot.
We are very welcome.
Okay, so Dilyana, now we're in the final segment of the podcast. I call it Beneath the Accent. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You can answer them in one word or a sentence or however you feel like. The idea is just to know more about Dilyana. So, ready?
Ready?
So, first question is, what advice would you give to your younger self and at what age?
Actually, I can tell myself like 6 years old or 10 years old, let's little bit in this range,
Hmm.
that never stop to be curious as you are.
Hmm.
Explore new things, learn new things, never stop learning
Hmm.
from life, from people, from not only from school and from books, but in general. Maintain this curious and learning because it's helpful. The more you know about the world, the more you know about the people, that can help you in your life in general.
Tell us about a time when you experienced a significant cultural difference that surprised you a lot in Canada.
When I was in France, it's just the same. The only one culture.
The
That's
French, yeah.
mostly. They have other immigrant there also, but not so much like here. So my
Mm.
first encounter was with Latin American people, and I find them
Mm.
very. I always find something that it's similar to Bulgarian as a culture, as a character, as psychology, and I
Mhm.
love this their desire for life and everything.
Mhm.
um, Maybe the more different and difficult to understand for me, even I'm curious and accepting and everything, is maybe Chinese culture. It's kind of, for
Mm.
me, it's very very different, and like they were to think, they were to live their way to from the everyday life. um,
Okay.
like psychology even, it's kind of, for
Mm.
me, it's also Chinese. It's a bigger how to say, like ethnos, but they have also difference. Start after a while, I start to find the difference between the Japanese and Singapore and Hong Kong and the China. I start to see slightly
Mm.
difference, but still for me it's very kind of like extraterrestrial, and I don't know. It's,
Mm.
yeah, that's
Okay.
that's for
Okay.
me, it's very kind of unfamiliar. Yeah.
Okay. Great answer. Okay. And are there any funny stories related to your misunderstanding around the accent or the English?
um yeah, many times people don't understand me, even in French. I don't know why. My teacher in yoga doubt that I'm gonna be good teacher because of my accent. But
Hmm.
what I found maybe in English is not so um, pronounced, not so how to say, difficult to understand, because English in general it's
Yeah.
not so difficult. In French, little bit more. You need to have little bit specific pronunciation. Um,
Especially with the
yes,
R's.
yeah,
It's
ours
very
and
different
yes,
with the R's. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes the nuance, it's
Yeah.
they can think about something else, not what I mean.
Yeah, I think it happens with many of us because I think for me, for example, people coming from India, they speak like multiple languages, and our ways of pronunciating, pronunciating. See, even right now I just messed it up. Pronunciating, pronunciations, or how we enunciate words is very different. How we do that in our language, like for example, in Punjabi or Hindi, and which is the languages which I speak apart from English, we have a very specific way of emphasizing on certain characters. But here, it's something else in English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is.
Okay.
If they are not so familiar, for them it's strange. But if after that they get familiar with the accent, it's not so big.
Absolutely. I always
Yeah,
say it gives a little bit of time to get accustomed to each other's accents. Be a little patient and everything will get better.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't frustrate about this, and don't kind of think inferiority. Something there's something wrong with
Absolutely.
you.
No.
No.
Tell us about the first friend that you made in Canada and how did you meet them?
It was in my because I didn't know what to do until I'm waiting to start the school or university or find a job. I went again to improve my French. So the first
Okay.
friend was I think Colombian and then Peruvian. Yeah, and then
Okay.
I think Mexican and then but yeah, definitely Latin American. One Colombian, one Peruvian. Yeah.
Okay. Are you still in contact with them?
No, it was contact, unfortunately. But when I was in Quebec the first 5 years, yeah, we was very much in contact.
What's something that you ate for the first time in Canada and did you like it?
Quebec, in you have this poutine, the poutine, and then
Okay.
the other thing was the maple syrup from the tree, and then they put in the snow, and they make it like ice cream with the maple
Ice
syrup.
candies, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
candies. Yes, that was very very interesting for me.
Okay. And did you like the poutine? Or would you try it again?
Not much. The sauce, not so much. Not really. It's too heavy.
Okay. If you had to describe yourself as an animal or any creature, what would it be and why?
I like horses because of the freedom that they represent. Sometimes ego because when they fly, I feel that it's freedom also.
So you would describe yourself as a horse or an eagle?
Yeah, there's something forceful, a force when the horse run is beautiful. They have strength also. And they're very friendly in the same
Hmm.
time.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To be able to move with the speed of light in different parts of the world. So not be reliable of other transportation, but superpower with
Okay.
to be able to really help people who struggle in a way that sustain their life. Also be very helpful.
If you had to create this one law that everybody has to follow, what would it be?
Maybe fair exchange in everything, so you trust everybody
Hmm.
without doubt, and then you know that you will be paid in somehow, some way. Don't be afraid that somebody gonna lie. Just
Yeah,
be you trust each other more and exchange in a fair way.
I love that. Beautiful answer. Okay. So describe Canada in one word or a sentence.
Diversity, freedom, independence.
And lastly, if you could leave me with one piece of advice, Dilyana, what would it be?
Keep the inspiration that you have for the work that you do. It's so educational and good. And yeah, I think what you're doing, as I say, I like very much. And yeah, you want to help people. That's more important. So keep the good work.
Thank you. And finally, how would you describe your experience of being on the podcast?
I like very much this kind of curiosity and learning from other people, right? From their experience, from their knowledge, what they have to say, and what advice they can do for others. I like this educational part of podcast.
Perfect. Thank you, Dilyana, for being on the podcast, sharing your story, and adding value to my listeners. Thank you.
Thank you so much to invite me.